Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome back to the conspiracy side of this channel. I hope everyone is doing well. Before we get into today's second half, a couple links I'd like to share with you all. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under this video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's conspiracy side. Shall we? Majestic 12. In December 1989, Jamie Chandra, Hollywood movie producer and UFO researcher, received an unusual package through a post. Inside was just one roll of undeveloped 35mm black and white film. There was no accompanying letter or return address. The only clue to where the package came from was it was postmarked from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Once developed, the film contained negatives of what appeared to be an 8-paged briefing paper prepared on the 18th of November 1952 for President-elect Dwight D. Eisenhower. A warning on the first page read, "This is a top-secret, eyes-only document containing compartmentalized information essential to the national security of the United States." On page 2 was a list of 12 influential U.S. scientists, military leaders, and intelligence advisors. It was not until viewing page 3 that the subject of the papers became clear: the recovery of a crashed flying saucer and alien bodies near Roswell, New Mexico, in July of 1947. The final page of the briefing paper was a memorandum dating the 24th of September, 1947, from President Harry Truman to his Secretary of Defense, James Forrestal. In it, Truman instructs Forrestal to proceed with Operation Majestic 12, but gives no hint at what it may be. Alone, the Forrestal memo was meaningless, but when read next to the 1952 briefing paper, the story behind them became clear. In July of 1947, a flying disc-shaped aircraft crash-landed in Roswell, New Mexico, and extraterrestrial biological entities, or EBEs, were recovered by the military. When President Truman was informed about the crash, he authorized his Defense Secretary Forrestal to set up a committee to investigate and deal with the situation. In 1952, when Eisenhower became president-elect, he was briefed on Operation Majestic 12. The briefing paper lists the 12-man committee and gives details of the saucer crash. The final paragraph stresses the need to avoid public panic at all costs, confirming that the government is covering up the truth about UFOs. In the UFO research community, the opinion is split if these documents are real. In one corner, Stanton T. Friedman, who has dedicated over 10 years of research to finding the truth. Bill Moore and Jamie Chandra believe the documents to be real. In the other corner are Kevin Randall, Armin Victorian, and Philip Klass, all of whom have reasons to believe they are faked. To add to the mystery surrounding the Majestic 12 papers, also known as MJ12 or MAJIC, a number of other similar packages have turned up over the last few years. The first was a postcard delivered to Bill Moore in 1985. Postmarked New Zealand, it suggested him to research newly declassified documents at the U.S. National Archives. Moore and Chandra did so and found a memo confirming the existence of MJ-12, written by Eisenhower's Special Assistant for National Secretary, Robert Cutler, and addressed to Nathan Twinling, the U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff. Between 92 and 96, another UFO researcher named Tim Cooper received a number of MJ-12 documents, all of which he quietly shared with Friedman. Several were proved hoaxes, but according to Cooper and Friedman, 2 single-page documents appeared to be genuine. The first is a brief instruction to General Nathan Twinning, an alleged member of MJ-12, concerning his activities during the July 1947 trip to New Mexico, the site of the crashed saucer. The second document is a memo to President Truman dictated by the U.S. Secretary of State George C. Marshall to his Executive Secretary, R.H. Humslin. While there is no direct mention of MJ-12 in the memo, the reference at the top reads MAJICEO 9092447 MJ-12. The most spectacular new MJ-12 document was posted in 1994 to Don Berliner, a longtime UFO investigator and science writer. An anonymous roll of film contained 23 pages of Majestic 12 Group Special Operations Manual, dated April 1954. It was a detailed instruction manual entitled Extraterrestrial Entities and Technology, Recovery and Disposal. The Council of 12. Because most of the MJ-12 documents are on film, the original paper or ink cannot be analyzed. However, there are many factual details that can be checked, such as the background of the 12 members of the committee, the dates of the meetings, the style and format of similar documents, and the validity of the signatures. Clearly, MJ-12 had an all-star cast as well as Secretary of Defense Forrestal. There were the first 3 directors of the Central Intelligence: Air Force General, Army General, Secretary of Army, and 5 of the U.S.'s most influential scientists. This was the cream of the United States military, scientific, and intelligence communities. If there was to be a top-secret government group investigating UFOs, this would have been it. The 12 members: Rear Admiral Roscoe Hillenkoetter, first director of Central Intelligence, 1947 to 50. In 1960, he acknowledged there was a UFO cover-up. Dr. Vannevar Bush, chairman of the Joint Research and Development Board, 45 to 49, advisor to the president and key player in the atomic bomb development. James Forrestal, first United States Secretary of Defense. In 1949, he had a mental breakdown and committed suicide. Some conspiracy theorists believe that he was murdered, replaced by General Walter Bedell Smith. Nathan Twinning, commander of the Air Materiel Command at Wright Field and later chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, the United States' highest military position. General Hoyt Vandenberg, Chief of Military Intelligence during World War II and second Director of Central Intelligence, 46 to 47. Dr. Detlev Bronk, biophysicist, head of the National Academy of Science and chairman of the Medical Advisory Board of the Atomic Energy Committee. Dr. Jerome Hunsaker, renowned aircraft designer and chairman of the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. Rear Admiral Sidney Sowers, first director of the Central Intelligence, 1946, appointed first executive secretary of National Security Council in 47. Gordon Gray, Assistant Secretary to the Army, became the National Secretary Advisor and Director of the CIA's Psychological Strategy Board. Dr. Donald Menzel, Harvard professor of astrophysics and debunker of UFOs, held a top-secret ultra clearance and was a security advisor to several presidents. Major General Robert Matogue, head of Special Weapons Project at the Atomic Energy Commission at Albuquerque, New Mexico. Dr. Lloyd Berkner, Executive Secretary of the Joint Research and Development Board, member of the CIA-funded UFO Committee in the 50s. The only member in this list who seems out of place is Dr. Donald Menzel, a Harvard University astronomer. He had written 3 anti-UFO books and many papers debunking flying saucers, but Menzel was known to have a high-level security clearance, and because of this, many researchers were inclined to think that the MJ-12 documents were bogus. However, in April of 1986, Stanton Friedman was allowed to access Menzel's papers at the Harvard University archives. He learned that Menzel had a 30-year association with the National Security Agency, the NSA, and that he also had a top-secret ultra clearance with the CIA. It has also been proven that Menzel made numerous visits to New Mexico in 1947 and 48, paid for by government expenses. The earliest reference to the Majestic is in a memo supposedly sent to Truman to Forrestal. The memo, which names the president's science advisor, Vannevar Bush, is dated the 24th of September 1947. This happens to be the only day between May and December on which Truman met with Bush. Forrestal also met Bush that day, and this date is also significant in that it is the day after Nathan Twinling, commanding general of the Air Material Command, AMC, sent a secret memo to the Pentagon relating to flying discs. In it, Twinning states, "The phenomenon reported is something real and not visionary or fictitious." Also, the flight log from July 47 shows that Twinling had flown to New Mexico on the 7th of July, 1947. According to the briefing paper, this was the same day that the secret operation was to begin, the recovery and of the wreckage for scientific study. Could this be just coincidence? Genuine or fake, the MJ-12 documents are certainly the most intriguing to have surfaced in the history of UFOlogy. Intelligence officer tells of personnel experience with MJ-12. The following paper, or file, gives details of the MJ-12 papers as well as explaining the many different code names given to the government secret projects. I, Milton William Cooper, 1311 South Highland, number 205, Fullerton, California, 92632, phone number redacted, do solemnly swear that the information contained in this file is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. I swear that I saw this information in 1972 in the performance of my duties as a member of the intelligence briefing team of the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet as Petty Officer in the U.S. Navy. I swear that I underwent hypnotic regression in order to make the information as accurate as possible. I swear that I can and will take a lie detector test or any other test of any reputable person's choosing in order to confirm this information. I swear that I can and will undergo hypnotic regression conducted by any reputable and qualified doctor of any reputable person's choosing in order to confirm this information. I will not, however, submit to any test or hypnosis by anyone who is now or has ever been connected to the government in any capacity for obvious reasons. The following is a brief listing of everything that I personally saw and know from 72 and does not contain any input from any other source whatsoever. Majesty was listed as a code word for the President of the United States for communications concerning this information. Operation Majority is the name of the operation responsible for every aspect, project, and consequence of alien presence on Earth. Grudge contains 16 volumes of documented information collected from the beginning of the United States investigation of unidentified flying objects and identified alien crafts. The project was funded by the CIA's confidential funds, non-appropriated, and money from the illicit drug trade. Participation in the illegal drug trade was justified in that it would identify and eliminate the weak elements of our society. The purpose of Project Grudge was to collect all scientific, technological, medical, and intelligence information from UFO and IAC sightings and contacts with alien life forms. This orderly file of collected information has been used to advance the United States space program. MJ-12 is the name of the secret group. President Eisenhower commissioned a secret society known as the Jason Society, or Jason Scholars, to sift through all facts, evidence, technology, lies, and deception, and find the truth of the alien question. The society was made up of 32 of the most prominent men in the country in 1972, and the top 12 members were designated MJ-12. MJ-12 has total control of everything. They are designated by a code J1, J2, J3, etc., all the way through the members of the Jason Society. The director of the CIA was appointed J1 and is the director of MJ-12. MJ-12 is responsible only to the president. MJ-12 runs most of the world's illegal drug trade. This was done to hide funding and thus keep the secret from the Congress and the people of the United States. It was justified in that it would identify and eliminate weak elements of our society. The cost of funding the alien-connected projects is higher than anything you can imagine. MJ-12 assassinated President Kennedy when he informed them that he was going to tell the public all the facts of the alien presence. He was killed by the Secret Service agent driving his car, and it is plainly visible in the film held from public view. A secret meeting place was constructed for MJ-12 in Maryland, and it is described as only accessible by air. It contains full living, recreation, and other facilities for MJ-12 and the Jason Society. It is codenamed the Country Club. Only those with top secret MAJIC clearance are allowed to go there. Sigma is the project which first established communications with the aliens and is still responsible for communications. Plato is the project responsible for diplomatic relations with the aliens. This project secured a formal treaty, illegal under the Constitution, with the aliens. The terms were that the aliens would give us technology. In return, we agreed to keep their presence on Earth a secret, not to interfere in any way with their actions, and to allow them to abduct humans and animals. The aliens agreed to furnish MJ-12 with a list of abductees on a periodic basis. MAJIC is the security classification and clearance of all alien-connected material, projects, and information. MAJIC means MAJI controlled. Aquarius is a project which compiled the history of alien presence and their interaction with Homo sapiens upon this planet for the last 25,000 years, and accumulating with the Basque people who live in the mountainous country on the border of France, Spain, and Syrians. Granite is the project responsible for control of all information and documents regarding this subject and accountability of the information in documents. Pluto is a project to evaluate all UFO and IAC information pertaining to space technology. Pounce is the project formed to recover all downed crafts and aliens. Red Light is the project to test fly recovered aircraft. It is conducted at Area 51, Dreamland in Nevada. It was aided when the aliens gave us a craft and helped us fly them. The initial project was somewhat successful in that we flew a recovered craft, but blew it up in the air and the pilots were killed. The project was suspended at the time until the aliens agreed to help us. Snowbird was established to cover for the Project Red Light. Several flying saucer-type craft were built using conventional technology. They were unveiled to the press and flown in front of the press. The purpose was to explain accidental sightings or disclosure of Red Light as having been the Snowbird craft. Luna is the alien base on the far side of the moon. It was seen and filmed by the Apollo astronauts. A base, a mining operation using very large machines, and a very large alien craft describing in the sighting reports as motherships exist there. NRO is the National Recon Organization based at Fort Carson, Colorado. It is responsible for security of all alien and alien craft connected projects. Delta is the designation for the specific arm of NRO, which is especially trained and tasked with security of these projects. Joshua is a project to develop a low-frequency pulse sound-generating weapon. It was said that this weapon would be effective against the alien craft and beam weapons. Excalibur is a weapon to destroy the alien underground base. It is to be a missile capable of penetrating 1,000 meters of tufa, hard-packed soil, such as that found in New Mexico, with no operational damage. Missile apogee not to exceed 30,000 feet, AGL, and impact must not deviate in excess of 50 meters from designated target. The device will carry 1 megaton of nuclear payload. Aliens, there were 4 types of aliens mentioned in the papers. A large-nosed gray, with whom we have the treaty. The gray, reported in the abduction cases, that works for the large-nosed gray. The blonde human-like type, described as Nordic. The red-haired human type, called the Orange. The home of the aliens was described as being a star in the constellation of Orion, Barnard's star, and Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2. I cannot remember, even under hypnosis, which alien belongs to which star. EBE is the name or designation given to the live alien captured at 1947's Roswell crash. He died in captivity. KRLL or KRLLL or CRLL or CRLLL, pronounced Krill or Krill, was the hostage left with us at the first Holloman landing as a pledge that the aliens would carry out their part of the basic agreement reached during the meeting. Krill gave us the foundation of the Yellow Book, which was completed by the guests at a later date. Krill became sick and was nursed by Dr. G. Mendoza, who became an expert on alien biology and medicine. Krill later died. His information was disseminated under the pseudonym O.H. Krill or Krill. Guests were aliens exchanged for humans who gave us the balance of the Yellow Book. At the time I saw the information, there were only 3 left alive. They were called Alfs, or alien life forms. Religion. The aliens claimed to have created Homo sapiens through hybridization. The papers said the RH blood was proof of this. They further claimed to have created all of our major religions. They showed a hologram of the crucifixion of Christ, which the government filmed. They claim that Jesus was created by them. Alien bases exist in the Four Corners area of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. 6 bases were described in the 1972 papers, all on Indian reservations, and all in the Four Corner area. The base near Duluth is one of them. Murder. The document stated that many military and government personnel had been terminated, murdered without due process of law, when they had attempted to reveal the secret. Craft recoveries. The document stated that many craft had been recovered, the earlier ones from Roswell, Aztec, Roswell again, Texas, Mexico, and other places. General Doolittle made a prediction that one day we would have to reckon with the aliens, and the document stated that it appeared that General Doolittle was correct. Abductions were occurring long before 1972. The document stated that humans and animals were being abducted and or mutilated. Many vanished without a trace. They were taking sperm and uva samples, tissue, performing surgical operations, implanting a spherical device 40 to 80 microns in size near the optic nerve in the brain, and all attempts to remove it resulted in the death of the patient. The document estimated that 1 in every 40 people have been implanted. This implant was said to give the aliens total control of that human. A contingency plan should the information become public or should the aliens attempt to take over. This plan called for the public announcement that a terrorist group had entered the United States with an atomic weapon. It would be announced that the terrorists planned to detonate the weapon in a major city. Martial law would be declared, and all persons with implants would be rounded up along with dissidents and would be placed into concentration camps. The press, radio, and TV would be nationalized and controlled. Anyone attempting to resist would be arrested or killed. Contingency plan to contain or delay release of information. This plan called for the use of the Majestic 12 as a disinformation ploy to delay and confuse the release of information should anyone get close to the truth. It was selected because of a similarity of spelling and a similarity of MJ12. It was designated to confuse memory and to result in a fruitless search for material which did not exist. Source of material contained in the documents which I saw. The source of material was an ONI counterintelligence operation against MJ12 in order for Navy to find out the truth of what was really going on. The Navy at the time, or at least the Navy that I worked for, were not participants in any of this. The different services and the government conduct these types of operation against each other all the time. The result of this operation was that the Navy cut themselves in for a piece of the action/technology and control of some projects. History will be the judge of me and this information, and I have no fear of that judgment. I swear that this information is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. Now, a lot of this came from Milton William Cooper. For those of you who do not know who he is, he was a Navy intelligence officer. He was shot to death in Edgar, Arizona on November 5th, 2001. He wrote the book, Behold the Pale Horse. And he also has, I believe there's a movie, I think it's called New World Order, Communism by Backdoor. Couple other things. But, yeah, he was executed tragically, and left to die in his front yard. Because he knew too much. Just think about that. That's sad. That the country he lived and spent the majority of his life protecting killed him. Because all he wanted was the truth, just like you and I. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Please practice kindness, and may the Great Spirit watch over us all. And may He guide us down that path that we call life. Till tomorrow, my friends. Until tomorrow.